Let's talk about pita pizza. Welcome back to Sprung on Food. I'm your host, Kae Sprung. This season, we're talking about favorite foods, the history behind it, and the role it plays in the world today. Joining me today is the hilarious and talented writer at Late Night with Seth Meyers, Ally Hord. Ally, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I love to talk about food and I love eating food. So this is very much my shit.
You've made it home. You've made it to your place.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
I'm very intrigued and excited to talk to you about your favorite food specifically, because while we're kind of tailoring it down for just historical context and purposes of pita pizza, specifically yours, and I don't want to get it wrong, specifically your favorite food is creamy chicken and jalapeno pita pizza.
Yes.
Ally, tell me about this food and your relationship with it.
Well, I would definitely say it's not like a daily treat. This is something that was made very special by my mother that I was first actually introduced to in college. She basically found this recipe somewhere. My mom was very much a back of the packaging recipe trier. Like I grew up with El Paso taco night, broccoli, rice, cheese whiz casserole.
What is cheese
Those
whiz
sort of,
casserole?
oh my gosh, it's like one of our favorite dishes for Thanksgiving. It's just, you put rice and chopped steamed broccoli with some spices and cheese whiz. You mix it all up and cook it. And it's a delicious kind of not healthy, even though there's broccoli in it, Thanksgiving dish. So my mom, she's this all-American classic suburban mother cook who absolutely was like, yeah, I'll try this back of the packaging recipe. I'm not afraid of it. And I don't know what packaging she found this recipe on, but my goodness, it is so delicious. And when I tried to find the recipe online, some people called it nachos, but it's not a nacho because the way you prepare it is very much how you prepare a pizza, wherein you smear the mixed chicken and cheese on it, and then you can dust other ingredients on top, and then you bake it and then you cut it. So it feels very pizza to me, not nacho-like.
Yes, I don't know the last time I've ever cut nachos. So
Yes, exactly. So I disagree with the different websites that call them nachos, but I had all of my girlfriends home with me from college for spring break because at the time we lived in Florida. And, we were in college. We may or may not have been partaking in herbal refreshments. And we were just kind of like hanging around the house, hanging out by the pool, maybe getting some sun, maybe even a little hungover. And my mom was so sweet. We were about to move out of the house. And I think she just didn't have her full kitchen available to her because we had started to ship some of the kitchen to my parents' new house in Seattle. So she was just like, what easy snacks can I make the gals? Very much like a Super Bowl commercial, but instead of men watching football, it was like hungover girls laying out by the pool.
this should be a commercial.
This should be a commercial.
Who could we market this to? Who would this be fit for?
It could be marketed during the Super Bowl, but it could also just be marketed before spring break. Like, parents, are your kids coming home? They're going to be hungover and maybe high. Here's a recipe they'll love.
Yes. Give them this and walk away, and they will leave you alone.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
My mom could not walk away because after she gave it to us, we all bit into it and we're like, this is the most delicious thing we've ever had. And she proceeded, it was like, we literally were like, can you just honestly make 50 more of these? And she spent hours in the kitchen cranking these out for us. She's a saint, by the way.
Bless
because
her.
we were all just saying, this tastes the best. Like, this fits it. It was savory, it was cheesy, it was spicy, it was like everything. And it didn't give you an upset stomach, so you could eat it endlessly. It was just so delicious. And so I would say over the course of like 4 days of spring break, we each ate about 100 of these full pitas and they were so delicious. And it was like the first time that I've had people follow up and be like, hey, send me that recipe. because I don't cook. So I was like, but I said the same thing to my mom. I was like, you need to email me that recipe because I think I might start cooking because of this like snack we had. So yeah, it was that good. Nobody could stop talking about it.
And
Nobody could stop talking about it. Yes.
you even had supplied me without asking for it the recipe. Is it do you want to keep that close to the vest, or is that okay if I
No, it's
share
absolute.
it?
Listen, you should share it because it's absolutely Googleable
The world
and
needs to know about
the
it too.
world needs to. I want everyone to experience this spring break slash Super Bowl snack slash family gathering happiness.
It's for all occasions, all
Yes.
encompassing.
Yes.
And now, follow-up question. You mentioned that you all had been partaking. Have you tried this sober? And does it hold up?
Well, does hungover count as sober? I mean, I don't know. But I actually haven't tried it as a sober adult because I don't have a mixer in my New York apartment. You have
A
to have a
mixer. Oh,
mixer.
what do you need the mixer for?
You have to beat it with an electric mixer to get it
Oh.
blended into a paste that you're going to put on the pita. So I suppose I could
Oh.
try it by hand, but I mean that would be a
Mm.
lot of legwork or arm work, I guess would be the term.
You could, but it be a whole full body workout, and
Yes,
then you reap the rewards afterwards with this delicious meal. Do you happen to have, would it work with a blender, do you think? Could you do it with a blender? Do you have a blender?
I don't have a blender either.
Okay.
Again, I'm not a cook, and I live in a New York apartment, so
Yeah,
owning anything of convenience is hard because it takes up counter space or
it's true.
precious cabinet space. I should also say,
Yes.
dear listeners, I'm not just the laziest person in the world. I do also have a vegan husband. So he would not even be able to eat this with me. I would just have a huge bowl of chicken paste that like I couldn't, I
Would
mean,
that
maybe
be
I
that
could
bad
eat it
though?
all of myself,
Would that be that
but I
bad?
don't, but here's the thing is like, if I know I'm going to go home for Thanksgiving or something, and I know my mom has a mixer, a blender, everything, and she is a much better
Mm.
cook than me,
Oh.
do I just do the bratty kid thing where I wait till I go home for the holidays and be like, hey, can you make that delicious jalapeno pita pizza?
Do you know what? I feel like it's a, I would not consider that a bratty thing. I would consider that almost a very sweet, like tradition, right? Like, and it
Hmm.
makes it, I feel like almost in a way, when you have that special moment when you get to have this food that is so nostalgic and has such a strong tie that your mom did make the first time and presented it to you, it makes it into a moment.
I don't want to take away her power or sway over me by mastering it myself. She will always have that power of me coming home to be like at her mercy. She
Yes.
has to make it because I can't tackle it.
Well, and I feel at the end of the day too, sometimes parents they when their children have grown up and they are adults, they still want to feel wanted. And
Yes.
I think that that might fill that.
I should also say, like, you can absolutely make this and keep it in the fridge for like a week and just keep churning them out.
So this is definitely something that could be meal prepped. And so
Yes.
just so in my mind's eye I get a better feel for how this is constructed. So it's the pita. You have the prepped kind of schmear situation, which is like, so the chicken is blended into the creaminess. And do we know what the creaminess is? What makes it the creamy?
It's got, let's see, it's got cream cheese with the
Aha.
chicken.
Very
So
creamy.
it's like
Okay.
it's pulled chicken, cooked chicken, cream cheese, and then grated cheese.
Mm,
And then you're gonna have like garlic, cumin, chili powder, and then cut jalapeno peppers.
yes.
And you're gonna beat all of that together in the electric mixer to make the
Yes.
paste. And then
Yes.
you can
Okay.
sprinkle stuff on top. So you're just really the after you do all the meal prep, the prep after you keep it in the fridge is just cutting a pita in half. And then
Yes.
on the inside portion, spreading, however thick you want it, and maybe putting extra grated cheese on it, and then just popping that in the oven. It's really quick to make once you've done the prep.
So yes, you can really batch like a generous amount of it.
Yes. And you're
just
going to
a
have
good-
to because people are going to be
You're
storming
gonna
down
want.
the kitchen with pitchforks demanding you prepare 100 more. It's so good. I mean, I don't know particularly what it is about it, but I think it's really like cream cheese, chicken, cumin, jalapeno. Like these are just great flavors together.
They're just harmonious all together. Do you think perhaps it was the back of a cream cheese?
That's
tub or
I feel like it might be. I mean, the Philadelphia company would be stupid not to put this on the back of every tub around Super Bowl time.
listen, watch your clock. Like, this is what's gonna be happening, I'm telling
Yeah.
you. It's gonna
I mean,
sweep the nation.
you know what? Like, I definitely think when I go home for Thanksgiving this year, I'm going to say, hey, let's make this together so I can see how my mom does it.
You
And
gotta
then
see how
maybe
the
if I'm
sausage is made, yeah.
literally, yes. And then maybe if I'm invited to a Super Bowl party here in New York, I can try it on my own for the first time.
Yes, you
It's
could.
time for me to grow up and do it myself.
Well, speaking of, to fully understand and appreciate our food, we've got to know where it came from. Have you ever wondered if pita and pizza are long lost cousins? Well, they totally are. Both words come from the Greek pita, which, get this, originally meant pitch. Allie, do you know what pitch is?
I have no idea other than in the baseball wise, or pitch as in pitching a TV show wise.
Yes, very relevant. Well, pitch in this case is the sticky stuff that oozes out of trees, like a resin. Obviously, no one was slapping mozzarella on gooey tree sap, but since pitch forms flat layers, the Greeks thought, hey, sounds like a good name for flatbread. About 1700 years ago, the Greeks realized their go to word for flatbread had shifted to mean thick cake. So they brought in pita as the new flatbread MVP. And when they conquered southern Italy in the 6th century, they packed pita in their bags. As it made its way up north, the word evolved into something a little more familiar: pizza. Now, for a long time, pizza was just a humble flatbread in most of Italy. In some places, like Abruzzo, a southern region in Italy, they even whipped it up from cornmeal. As for those classic cheese and sauce pizzas we can't live without, that whole delicious concept was a late bloomer, born less than 200 years ago. Down in Calabria, though, pita got a little fancy. It became more like a stuffed pie loaded with meats and cheese. Ali, in your mind's eye, do you think that might have been more like a stromboli or a calzone?
I mean, yeah, it sounds like calzone for sure. Like that's like just a heavy. I mean, it's like a hot pocket. It's an ancient hot pocket, right?
The original Hot Pocket.
The original hot pocket.
I love it. Well, meanwhile, back in Greece, the Turks swung through in the 15th century and scooped up the word pita, spreading it all over the place from Armenia to Hungary. It probably even traveled to Israel from Romania about 100 years ago. Pita was on a world tour. These days in Greece, pita refers to those tasty, thicker phyllo dough pies like spanakopita. But head over to other Balkan countries, and pita means something even thinner than a celebrity on Ozempic. Just one ultra-thin sheet of phyllo, way more delicate than any layer of pitch could ever dream to be. Ali, what do you think about the evolution of that name of pita?
I didn't realize that it was related to pizza. So if I say pita pizza, that's redundant actually. And maybe it should just be called pizza, like P-I-T-Z-A. Maybe that's what this thing should be called. It's a pizza. But
where were
I
you in
guess
the
that makes
marketing
sense. I mean,
department?
get me Philadelphia cream cheese. I'm going to rewrite the back of their recipe.
Listen,
That's so interesting. I mean, I guess it makes sense because like a plate of bread is the best idea of anything ever, right? Like an open-faced sandwich is like, it could, of course, it traveled the world. And of course, people are going to experiment maybe with different doughs and different ways of making that plate of bread. So it really makes sense. And then to encase it, to seal it off. I mean, you know, dumplings or empanadas, that style of just portable food in cooked bread is like, it makes the most sense of any food in the history of food. So yeah, I mean, I get why it would be a slam dunk in like every country.
yes. Well, so we can talk about pita pizza without talking a little bit about pizza. All right, so buckle up for a saucy tale of pizza's rise to fame. Spoiler alert, it's not just an Italian thing. First off, people have been feasting on flatbreads with toppings since ancient times. Yeah, the Egyptians, Romans, and Greeks were all in on it. The Greeks even had their own version, drizzled with oil and herbs, kind of like the ancestor of focaccia. But the real birthplace of pizza we know and love, that's southwestern Italy, in a city you may have heard of. Allie, do you know what that city is?
Is it Naples?
Ding, ding, ding. It is Naples. Now, Naples has a wild backstory. It started as a Greek settlement around 600 BC. But fast forward to the 1700s, and it was a jam-packed, gritty waterfront city. Picture it. A maze of narrow streets, a bustling port, and a sea of working-class Neapolitans known as the Lazzaroni. Ali, what do you think of that name, and what do you think that the people were like based on that name?
Lazzaroni, is that a brand of pasta?
The San
I
Francisco
feel like
treat?
I've seen
No.
that. No, not rice-a-roni. Lazzaroni. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just picture, hard scrabble women working dough with their knuckles, that style of Italian.
Well, you are not far off. These folks lived fast, worked hard, and ate quick. And what's better for a grab-and-go meal than pizza? Street vendors were slinging flatbreads topped with tomatoes, cheese, anchovies, and garlic. It was cheap, filling, and apparently disgusting, at least according to the snooty writers of the day. Now, here's where it gets royal. When Italy finally got its act together and unified in 1861, pizza was still just a Naples thing. But in 1889, King Umberto I and Queen Margherita rolled into town. Tired of their posh French dishes, the royals asked for some local eats. How of the people? Enter Pizzeria Brandy, with a pie that would change pizza history forever. The Queen's favorite? Allie, do you have a guess of what it might have been?
If it involves anchovies, I can't get behind it.
Well, so a clue, her name was Queen Margherita. Wink, wink, nudge,
Oh,
nudge.
margarita pizza. Yeah, okay. That's like when the answer is in the crossword clue and I totally miss it. Yes, the margarita pizza. Final answer.
Final answer. Ding, ding, ding. It's a pizza topped with mozzarella, tomatoes, and basil, the colors of the Italian flag, no less. It was love at first bite, and from then on, the combo was known as Pizza Margherita. But wait, did this spark a nationwide pizza craze? No. Outside Naples, no one in Italy really cared about pizza until the 1940s, which sounds crazy to me, right?
That is insane. That is insane. They missed out.
All those years. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, something magical was happening. Neapolitan immigrants were landing in cities like New York, Chicago, and Boston, bringing their trusty pizzas with them. They weren't trying to make a splash in the food world, they just wanted a taste of home. But Americans, they noticed. One of the first documented pizzerias in the US was Lombardi's, which opened in Manhattan in 1905. Fun fact, the same oven is still in use today. Allie, have you been to Lombardi's?
I have heard of it, but I haven't been there because, I love pizza and there's just so much good New York pizza of different styles that I don't feel like there's one mecca to go to. You know what I mean? It's so based on taste preference.
Yes. Do you have a favorite pizza spot of your own and favorite pizza variation of your own? Aside, of course, from the creamy chicken pita, pizza, jalapeno surprise.
Right. Obviously. There's this place called, I think it's just called New York Pizza. It's a chain that has like a cornmeal crust that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
And it tastes different, but it's got such a good crunch and bite. It doesn't like bend over so much. You can like curl it really easily. It's got good structure to the crust without too big of a what do you call the end of a crust?
Well,
The
it
pizza
technically
crust.
all starts out that way, and then you
Mhm.
form the outer rim to then
The outer rim.
Yes. Okay. All right. I
So,
don't think that's
but
a
they don't-
technical term, but
I don't know if that's technical, but they don't go too
It's fine.
crazy on it. It's not like too big and puffed up in the oven. You know what I mean? It's
and
just
thinner.
yeah. So you can eat more of it.
And isn't that what it's all about?
Yeah. But I also should say I went to school in Chicago and got introduced to deep dish, and
Mhm.
I don't hate a Lou Malnati's or a Giordano's.
Aha, okay. Well, while pizza's rise in the US was steady, the guy who might have kicked off the whole craze, Filippo Miloni, he didn't even get famous for it. Poor guy. His influence, though, it lives on in legendary spots. By the time World War II ended, pizza was taking over America, moving from cities to suburbs, east to west. It wasn't just an Italian thing anymore. It was fast, fun, and ready for all kinds of wild toppings. California even started tossing barbecue chicken and smoked salmon on their pies because why not? And the irony? Pizza finally made its way back to Italy as a trendy American export. Like rock and roll and blue jeans, pizza went global. Today, you can find American pizza chains like Domino's and Pizza Hut in 60 countries, offering toppings that range depending on the region. Now, because we're specifically talking about pita pizza and not just pita or pizza, I had to see where this combo is living in the wild. It's a super popular item to whip up in the home, making a homemade version of pizza really accessible, not to mention adorable. And even celeb chefs have put some recipes into the universe, like Gia De Laurentiis. Rachel Ray, who's known for her emphasis on quick and easy meals, has featured a barbecue chicken pita pizza. One for you to try out.
Mhm.
And the body coach, Joe Wicks, has done pita pizza videos. Ali, do you know who that is?
I don't know who that is. The body coach.
I know, sounds very serious. I was not familiar either, but he's a British fitness coach, television presenter, and social media personality. So maybe, some of us in the States are not familiar, but apparently very popular, very big deal. Are there any moments in pop culture or modern society where you can think pita pizza specifically made its mark?
I have absolutely no idea. I only know about the day my life was changed when my mom made this.
Well, I think that's a good answer. I mean, I had to think a little bit as well, and the thing that kind of came up in my mind's eye was no, I'll get your approval, your thoughts on this. Do you, whether you had them or not, do you ever remember those Lunchables, the pita Lunchables? Do
They
you-
were disgusting because the pitas were so cold and hard, and they would just break. They would crumble.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
so my question was going to be, would you have considered that kind of a pita pizza? Because I don't know what I would have considered that little disc. It
Right.
wasn't a cracker. It wasn't pizza dough. So I would have thought maybe somewhere in the vein of a pita.
It was them trying to make the idea of a pizza lunch portable, and they were in a little bit of a fix. They couldn't have unrisen dough, unbaked dough that they give to kids. So pita was like the only option because it seemed adjacent to a baked pizza crust, but it didn't work because it was just sloppily thrown together with cold marinara sauce and slices of diced like cheese. So it wasn't made with love. I mean, I think that was a big failure on the Lunchables part.
Maybe again, they needed you in the marketing department for this because I think that obviously it has to be a refrigerated product, and that's the way that they have to keep it fresh, and maybe somebody even there was like, how kids love cold pizza, this is that, but this, it just wasn't that. I think the allure, do you enjoy cold pizza, by the way?
If I enjoy cold pizza, it's because the elements have already been baked together.
There you are.
You
Yes.
can't cold mix the ingredients. That's them taking it too far.
I feel like I remember maybe when it came out and I was like, oh cool, a new different one, let's try it. First and last time, it was bad.
You know what it is? They're taking all of the ingredients and combining them at their worst texture and temperature. You know what I mean? Like none of these ingredients had their moment in the sun to make this taste good.
Yes, they were recruiting all of the second string JV team and bringing them up to varsity when they were not there yet.
Right, exactly. It's probably for the best we didn't like their pizza.
Well, they'll certainly never be a sponsor of this podcast, but Ali, do you have any closing words about your love of this particular food?
I mean, I think it's something that is a favorite or can be made to be a favorite of everyone in the family. And I think, when you have such picky eaters or people with different dietary restrictions, it can be, you can amend the ingredients and the preparation to make something that I think everyone can enjoy. And I think that's what's so exciting about it. So I think it's a really great thing for family gatherings or with friends that if they like it, they're going to want 100 of them.
Amazing. Well, Ally, thank you for sharing your love of this unique version of pita pizza and helping me share its story.
Oh, my pleasure. Now I'm going to probably maybe even go make one today because now I can't stop thinking about it.
Yes, go for it. Thanks for watching. You can find links and more info in the description below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. See you next time.